Monday, Tom Ricketts talked about Cody Bellinger and Scott Boras. Scott Boras weighed in. Tuesday, it was the media's turn to weigh in on the situation. I want to talk about some of the things I've heard the media say and my thoughts on them. And it's people that I like, but I just disagree with. Thought this would be a fun show because I've been screaming at the radio, and as I'm reading and going, hey, no way. Maybe that's what's fun about this time of year is that we get to debate baseball again. So I'm going to tell you about some of those and what I thought as we get ready for the Cubs baseball season. This is the Cubs baseball channel. Like and subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. Tell me what you guys read. What do you think? Let's talk about the Cubs. So everybody, it's Mick Gillispie. Welcome to the Cubs baseball channel. If you're not part of what we're doing here, make sure that you do become part of what we're doing here. Like and follow. And we talk Cubs baseball every single day, and we'll sometimes more than that. If something breaks out, I got my St. Patrick's Day Cubs gear on. Well, maybe just the hat, but I'm ready for some baseball. I can't wait to get to Arizona in a couple weeks. All right, let me start by saying that me criticizing any of these people isn't really criticizing. It's just the debate of it. And today, it's just like every time I turned around, I'm like, okay, I've got to address this. It's worth talking about. And I want to talk about Jon Greenberg, who I love with The Athletic. I love reading The Athletic. And he had a story that said, with Tom Ricketts in charge, with Tom Ricketts in charge, I don't see, like the Cubs see, the Cubs ever being big spenders. And that's kind of a takeoff of the Cubs' new hashtag slogan, right? Well, I don't agree with that at all. And I'm sure part of this is spurred by the fact that the Cubs aren't going to pay Cody Bellinger $200 million. I think he'll get more per season when it's all said and done than Dansby Swanson. But I don't think the length of the contract is going to be 7 years like Swanson's. I think it's going to be shorter. And I think that maybe there could be some incentives in there. But the Cubs don't normally deal with Scott Boras. And one of the main reasons, and I've said this since I've talked on this channel, is that Tom Ricketts' leadership style is one where he is not going to jump over the people that he's hired to do a job. He's just not. He hired Jed Hoyer. Before that, he hired Theo Epstein. You want to make a deal with them, then that's who you make a deal with. It's not the owner of the team. Yeah, he signs the checks, but it's not his role, and he's really big on roles. And so him and that talk that he had to the media a few days ago, to me, was an indicator to Cody Bellinger that if you want to play for the Cubs, you need to get with our guys and we need to start negotiating because it's been a stalemate. And it's a strategy that Scott Boras uses. Now he's hoping that someone gets hurt and that teams will be stuck needing to pay because their season will be ruined if they lose whatever player it is and he can slide one of his guys. And he's got 5 guys right now that are sitting unsigned. But John's story, though, to me, was one that I don't really think is fair. First off, right now the Cubs are the 9th highest payroll. If they add Bellinger, that's going to move them up. But payroll doesn't equate to winning. It just doesn't. There's a lot more into winning in baseball than how much money you spend on free agents. And I know a lot of us want to add players. We want to add free agents. You want to be aggressive when the right free agent is out there, like John Lester or John Lackey, when the Cubs were building towards the World Series, Dexter Fowler. You go after players that fit in spots, but to win and to win consistent, it's what you do on draft day, who you bring into your farm system. For the Cubs, it's a lot of deals that they made to bring in talent and then developing that talent and getting that talent ready. And then once that talent gets to the big leagues, trusting it to go out and get the job done. And Tom Ricketts talked about the Diamondbacks. They did a great job of that. Now look at what the Diamondbacks did this offseason. They went out and they spent a lot of money on free agents, right? But they got so close last year. They're at a point where they know where their weaknesses are and how they can go out and sign someone to make their team better. The Cubs aren't in that spot. They don't know what they have at first base with Matt Mervis and Michael Bush. They don't know what they have at third base with Christopher Morel. That would be the most logical spot to me to add somebody. I'm watching Marquee, and one of the analysts is talking about being confident and make a difference for Morel. And look, confidence is a small part of what he needs to do. It's balance, it's positioning, it's knowing where to be in plays. It's being able to physically make the play. Confidence is a small part of what the issue that he has at third base. He's got a 911 fielding percentage. So it's more than confidence. You could have all the confidence in the world and still make 3 errors in a game, right? You watch the best and watch the footwork that those guys have. Brooks Robinson at third base never stopped moving. His feet were constantly moving forward. The best guys do that. There's a rhythm to that. And, I feel like with the Cubs, that's a position that they don't know what they have. They don't know what's going to happen with Pete Crow-Armstong. He's been working with Dustin Kelly all offseason to get better with the bat. Has he gotten better? I think he has. I think he's going to come in and right off the bat, he's going to have a really fast start because he's had to deal with the fact that he didn't get any hits. But can he maintain that throughout the season? Are we going to have another Mike Tauchman season? He did a really good job last year. What's Alexander Canario going to do? What about the corner outfielders? They signed Peralta to a minor league deal yesterday. Is he going to make the team? There's question marks. And even though the Cubs got close last year, I didn't feel like they were in a position to go out and really do a whole lot other than bring in Bellinger, which I think all of us want to see happen. And I think that's why Tom Ricketts was talking. The other thing is, and Jon wrote this in a story, you want to say that the Cubs are cheap. They had between the third and the sixth highest payroll between 2016 and 2019. And had they not signed Jason Hayward, they would have had a lot more flexibility to make deals. They just put way too much money into that spot and didn't get the production out of it. But they contended, they made the playoffs, and they were a team that wasn't afraid to win. The money had nothing to do with it. The problem that the Cubs had, the reason that they didn't win, and I've said this a lot, they became elitist, and there was a sense of entitlement. And Jed Hoyer and his group have done an excellent job of working through that. And if you're not there and around it, you probably wouldn't see it, but it was obvious. It's like people walking around like they won the World Series in 2017, in 2018, in 2019, and they didn't. They won it in 2016, right? So there's been a transformation in the organization. Things are going in the right direction. But I heard that, and honestly, I love reading The Athletic. So, Jon, if you hear me talking about you, don't take it personal. But I would have loved it. Maybe I should just invite you on here so we can debate it. But a great job in the column, and I enjoyed that. And same thing with Marquis talking about Morel. I love this. This is what it's all about. Just disagree with you. All right, so the other one was this one. David Haugh from The Score, Mully and Haugh, great radio show. 1 minute, I hear David Haugh talking about Tom Ricketts versus Scott Boras. I'm like, yeah, I agree. That's a great point. Then some guy calls in, and a guy named Jon, and he's like, hey, what if we sign Trevor Bauer to a league minimum? And I tried to quote it the best I could, and I looked for it online. I don't know if I'm legally allowed to play their clip or not, but it was, please no, no. I think it was like times 12, no to Trevor Bauer. Well, I know Trevor Bauer, and we've talked about it on here, hasn't always made the best decisions, and he's been immature, and he hasn't been a great teammate. But what he was accused of that got him kicked out of baseball has been proven to be false. And he's suffered the biggest punishment in the history of the game outside of guys that gambled. And he didn't do it. He deserves an opportunity. And look, it's a league minimum. Jonathan Papelbon said that he would pay the Red Sox to take Bauer. And if Bauer did anything wrong, then they could keep his money. But if Bauer did a good job, I can't remember what all the stuff was. He wanted them to pay both of those guys the league minimum salary. Okay. Bauer's a former Cy Young Award winner. And I heard Mully say that the Cubs have options pitching in the minor leagues. They don't have anybody in the minor leagues that is a former Cy Young Award winner. They have a couple of guys down there that are going to be in the neighborhood to help out soon. Ben Brown, who was in AAA last year, who's never pitched in the big leagues, and an up-and-coming superstar named Cade Horton, who obviously came off of an injury a couple years ago, but he's as good as they've had in a long time. That's not a former Cy Young Award winner. That's not a guy that you can count on right now to go in, put him in your rotation, and maybe be the ace of the staff. Yeah, Trevor Bauer might be the best pitcher on the team right there with Justin Steele. Steele did it 1 year. Bauer did it for a bunch of years. So, my take on this is the guy deserves another chance. It's obvious that he's being blackballed right now. You're right. The Cubs aren't going to sign him, and it's because they're afraid of guys like David Haugh writing bad stories. Basically the negative press. I know there's some other stuff that he's still trying to wrangle down, but the bulk of everything that he was accused of, if you go to his Twitter page and look at it, it's disgusting what was done to him and very unfair. And in our country, guys, you're innocent until proven guilty. And I think we get that backwards sometimes, but it's a real shame. Whether you have a disagreement about a guy's politics, playing quarterback in football, or you don't like the way that the guy was a teammate of someone else, you're innocent until proven guilty. And the other thing is that I don't think it should be legal to blackball someone like this. We've talked about this on the channel before. Some of you guys we're going to get into it on here, but that's what it's all about. That's what this time of the year is about. I still feel like this, and you guys are going to get in the comment section, and I probably should just start picking some comments and talking about them on here. You're going to ask me if I still think Bellinger is going to sign with the Cubs. I do, because like I said in yesterday's video, Tom Ricketts is not going out and basically sending smoke signals to Bellinger and Boras if the Cubs did not want him back. They would act like they didn't know him, and they would see him on the road somewhere. And when he came to town, they'd play a video on the video board. Everybody clapped the first time and then boo him the second time. They want him to come back. They're just not going to overpay for him. And there's a lot more to it than just, hey, we're cheap. These dollars count. They count with what you're able to spend in the future to make your team better, but they also count against the salary threshold, which is a tax. I thought John made a great point in his article that if the Yankees signed, if they signed Blake Snell for some of the reported money that he wanted, they'd pay double because they'd be over the salary, the tax. It's not a cap, but So anyway, that's where we are right now. Love all the pundits talking about Cubs baseball because that is what this time of season is all about. Tell me what you guys think. Maybe you are fans of those shows like I am, and you saw the same thing. Maybe you were like, I agree. Maybe you disagree. But thanks for hanging out with us here on the Cubs Baseball channel. Appreciate all of you guys for being a part of what we do. I want to remind you that we're presented by the Tennessee Smokies, the Cubs AA affiliate. SmokiesBaseball.com/store gets you 45 years worth of swag, right? They won their first championship in 45 years, and they've got the swag to prove it. Also, autographed memorabilia, amazing baseball card store. Well, they got more than baseball cards, but the collector's corner, all of that at SmokiesBaseball.com/store. Check it out for yourself. I'm Mick Gillispie. Like and subscribe, give us a thumbs up, and we will talk to you guys soon. Go Cubs.